In the quiet, rural town of French Lick, Indiana, where the nights are long and dreams often fade with the morning mist, a young man once rode the back of a garbage truck, not for fitness, not for ambition, but for survival. He wasn't chasing fame. He wasn't thinking about trophies. He was just trying to help put food on the table for his struggling family. He had dropped out of college. His home life had fallen apart. His father had tragically taken his own life. His future seemed bleak, filled with uncertainty. There were no cameras, no scouts, no roar of the crowd. That man was Larry Bird. And this is not just a sports story. This is the story of how a garbage man became one of the greatest legends in NBA history. Chapter 1. The Fall Before the Rise, 1975 to 1976. In 1975, Larry Bird's life looked nothing like the polished hardwood courts he'd later dominate. He was just a teenager, raw with talent, but burdened by life's harsh realities. He had tried college, twice. First at Indiana University, then briefly at Northwood Institute. But each time he felt out of place, overwhelmed, lost. Then came a blow that would shatter him. His father committed suicide. The emotional weight was unbearable. The dream of playing basketball? That felt a lifetime away. To make ends meet, Larry took a job working as a garbage man for the city of French Lick. It was grueling work. Early mornings, heavy lifting, rough weather. But Larry didn't complain. He didn't ask for pity. He just kept showing up day after day, doing what he had to do. And yet, in those dark days, a spark still flickered inside him. Chapter 2. The Man Who Believed, Bill Hodges. While Larry had stepped away from basketball, basketball hadn't entirely stepped away from him. Enter Bill Hodges, an assistant coach at Indiana State University. Hodges had heard whispers of a local legend, a tall, lanky kid with court vision and shooting touch like no other. Most had given up on Larry, but Hodges hadn't. He tracked him down, visited him, tried to convince him to give basketball another shot. But Larry wasn't biting. He was humiliated. He had already failed, twice. The weight of expectations scared him. The world had already written his story, and he didn't think it ended with basketball. But Hodges refused to walk away. During a visit to Larry's mother's house, Bird started rambling about a friend who could have been a great player but never went to college. Hodges paused and said, "Yeah, Larry, they're going to say that about you someday." And with that, he walked out the door. 2 days passed. Then the phone rang. It was Larry. "I'm ready," he said. Chapter 3. College Dominance, the Indiana State Sycamores. Larry Bird arrived at Indiana State University, standing 6'9", carrying not only a basketball but a lifetime of pain and hunger. From the very first game, he was electric. In his debut season, Bird averaged a jaw-dropping 33 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals per game. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Analysts scoffed. "He plays for a small school," they said. "He's not facing real competition." But none of that mattered. Larry torched every opponent in front of him. He wasn't flashy. He didn't dunk on people. But he controlled the game with surgical precision. By his second season, he was a consensus first-team All-American. Then came 1979, a year that would change basketball history. He led the Sycamores to an undefeated 33-0 season and into the NCAA championship game, where he'd meet his future nemesis, a smooth-talking point guard from Michigan State named Magic Johnson. Chapter 4. Bird vs. Magic, the Birth of a Rivalry. The 1979 NCAA championship game was more than a basketball showdown. It was a cultural event. Over 35 million viewers tuned in to watch the quiet, gritty Larry Bird square off against the charismatic and dynamic Magic Johnson. The two couldn't have been more different. Bird, the blue-collar sharpshooter from a rural town. Magic, the flashy leader from urban Michigan. Bird had dominated the Final Four. But in the title game, Magic's Michigan State team was too athletic, too deep. They trapped Bird relentlessly. He went just 7 for 21 from the field. Indiana State lost. But something magical was born that night. Not just a rivalry, but the seed of a basketball revolution. Chapter 5. Draft Day Gamble. The Celtics. Take a chance. At the time, NBA rules required players to finish 4 years of college to be draft eligible. But a little-known loophole, based on Bird's brief enrollment at Indiana University in 1974, made him technically eligible for the 1978 NBA draft. Most teams missed it. Most teams weren't paying attention. But one man was, Red Auerbach, the legendary architect of the Boston Celtics dynasty. It was a gamble. Bird could return to college for one more season, and if he did, Boston would lose his rights. But Red believed. With the 6th overall pick in 1978, the Boston Celtics selected Larry Bird, shocking the basketball world. A year later, Bird signed for $650,000 per season, then the highest salary ever given to a rookie. Chapter 6. The Rookie Who Changed Everything. In the season before Bird arrived, the Celtics had limped to a miserable 29-53 record. Fans were disheartened. The glory days seemed long gone. Then came Larry. He didn't just play well, he transformed the team. That year, the Celtics exploded to a league-best 61-21 record. Bird averaged 21 points, 10 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and nearly 2 steals per game. He was named Rookie of the Year, beating out Magic Johnson. He made the All-Star team, first-team All-NBA, 4th in MVP voting. Suddenly, French Lick's trash collector was the face of the NBA's most storied franchise. Chapter 7. Building a Dynasty. The next year, the Celtics added 2 key pieces, Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. Together with Bird, they formed a frontcourt trio that many still consider the greatest in NBA history. By 1981, Bird had led the Celtics to his first NBA championship. His numbers were staggering, averaging over 24 points and 10 rebounds per game in subsequent seasons. Then came 1984, a rematch with Magic, the NBA Finals, Celtics versus Lakers. Bird was relentless. He willed Boston to victory, earning Finals MVP and his second championship. The rivalry had officially taken over the NBA. Chapter 8. The Left-Handed Game, MVP Streak, and Peak Greatness. Larry Bird wasn't just great, he was a competitor like no other. In a 1986 game against Portland, he decided, just for fun, to play most of the game with his left hand. He ended with 47 points, 14 rebounds, and 11 assists, left-handed. That same year, he won his 3rd straight MVP award, joining the ranks of legends like Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. The Celtics claimed yet another championship. Bird averaged nearly a triple-double in the finals. He wasn't just playing basketball, he was mastering it. Chapter 9. The Pain of Greatness, Injury and Sacrifice. But greatness has a price. Bird's back began to betray him, years of wear and tear finally catching up. But what triggered it? Building a driveway for his mother, by hand, with a shovel. He was a millionaire. He could have paid anyone. But that wasn't Larry Bird. That wasn't the kid from French Lick. Despite the pain, he kept playing. Often, he'd lie flat on his back in the locker room before games. He endured surgeries, spinal realignment, endless rehab. And still, he showed up. Chapter 10. Legacy of a Legend. By the early 1990s, Larry Bird could no longer fight his body. He stepped away from the game. But what he left behind wasn't just stats. It wasn't just titles. He left behind a legacy of grit, of loyalty, of resilience, of belief. He reminded the world that greatness doesn't always come from highlight reels or media hype. Sometimes, it comes from picking up trash at 5 a.m. Sometimes, it comes from failure, pain, and the will to rise again. Larry Bird wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the most athletic, but he was one of the greatest to ever play the game. From garbage man to NBA champion to immortal legend. That's Larry Bird. That's how a kid from French Lick, Indiana became one of the most respected and feared names in basketball history. Never underestimate a man with nothing to lose.